Hello, everyone. It's Sam and Fee, and we are back for another midweek musings.
Hello.
So how are we doing this week, Fee?
I'm trying to get myself feeling festive and I'm
Are you?
struggling a bit, to be honest, which is very reminiscent of last year. I had the
Yeah.
same problem. I mean, look, we're not into December quite yet, so
No, I'm not
I
allowing
just
any
I
festivities
tend
to.
to kind of, but I'm usually getting myself, prepared. But I think the last few years, it's just been a bit difficult to really feel it. So
I'm being forced into it by my two children who are incredibly excited about
I
Christmas.
bet. Oh, it's lovely though. See,
It is
I was always like a absolute like Christmas fiend. I always get really into the spirit and just love the whole feel of it. But I guess we've had a few other things kind of going on in the background that tends to sap the energy from things. But we'll see. I've got some mince pies that I'm saving, which has started to get me like, oh, got that. I
Yeah.
know, I love a mince pie. I love a mince. I'm not starting yet though, because literally once I've got a taste,
I
that's
know.
it. I mean, it's constant until New Year, and it's like I can't undo all the gym work for, um, I'm being
Eat
good.
your own weight in mince pies.
Wow, the thing is, I can't remember how it was something like you had to work like 20 minutes workout to burn off. Not that I'm not worried about weight and stuff because I've always been really slim, but it's more just the fact that, and I never have one,
You can't just have one.
never. So, anyway, how are you doing?
I'm pretty much in the same. I'm having some really horrendous days, but I'm also having some better days. So
Good.
it's kind of a take each day as it comes and do the best I
All you can
can
do.
with you know
Mm,
whatever's going on that day. But hanging in there. So
all we can
what else
do.
can we do?
Yeah, not much else sometimes. It's literally just keep hanging on there. We'll get
Yeah.
through. Yeah. So
So our topic today. I think a lot of people. There's a certain documentary which we're going to refrain from actually naming because of the censorship on platforms such as Facebook and YouTube. But it was released on the 21st. It was quite eagerly anticipated. Hopefully, you will all sort of know. We came up with some other names, didn't we? Of
yes,
what we
we
call it.
thought we could refer to it as passed away quickly or expired rapidly. That should sort of give an indication of what it could
Yeah,
be referring to. It's a certain hashtag as well that's gone viral,
yeah,
hasn't it, before
yeah,
this
yeah.
has come out?
So, yeah, we both watched it last night, didn't we?
Yes.
I rather reluctantly. There was a part of me that wanted to watch it, and another part of me because I'm quite emotionally vulnerable and all my feelings are also. I was sort of like, do I really want to put myself through this? Because we all know what the content is, we all know what's going on. But yeah, but I did watch it. But I watched it from a distance. I kind of sort of managed to detach myself from. I don't know how. I don't have any advice on that, I'm afraid. But there was some way in which I kind of, bring this thing down and I'm able to kind of watch it without kind of I don't know, taking too much of it on a really emotional level. But I am quite glad I watched it. It was
Yeah.
well, it is a very good documentary. And I think, most of it is stuff we already know.
Yeah,
Um
it
but
is.
seeing it
But
all
it's
put
kind of all
together
put together
quickly.
in context, isn't it? And I mean, it is quite graphic. I will warn people
It's a
if
difficult
you haven't
watch. It
seen
is a
it,
difficult
because they're
watch.
obviously um, talking about what's been found in people's bodies. This is by the
Embalmers.
undertakers and embalmers, people that are handling bodies before. So it's not even autopsies, which is very concerning. You know, this is where we're hearing it from, and this is why there's been such an effort to suppress and silence these people, because it's all there, and they've been documenting it and reporting their findings. And actually, like I say, it is quite gruesome, but to actually see what they're talking about, what's
And
coming out
there,
of
I think
these.
what came across to me as well was their shock and their
Yeah.
horror that in for some of these people, this is decades of working in the industry, and
Oh
it's the
yeah.
first time they're seeing
They've
anything like it,
never,
and it's
yeah, never seen anything like it. And yeah, they're really desperate. They can see that this is something horrendous on a massive scale that's going on worldwide, and they want to warn people. But like I said, we know what happens when people try to get the word out or blow the whistle or whatever. So it's very difficult. And yeah, again, so these findings, they're not being reported as a cause of death. They're not autopsies. This is when they've, it's their final moments before being buried or cremated, and they're finding these things. These, for people that don't know, it's well, they can't. Initially, they were talking about clots, blood clots, but clearly these are not. They're not those
fibrous structures,
fibrous,
I think.
like. And I think that yeah, they've worked out that they're kind of protein and something else, but huge things that are forming in people's arteries. And it's just absolutely horrendous, and it's people of all ages, it's across the board. And yeah, it makes for shocking viewing. And I, some people have already been saying, um within our sort of community, that the talk of depopulation, which is very much the kind of overarching narrative, isn't it, to this, that's going
Yeah,
to
there was a
put
big focus on all of the
what
I
this
can't
is.
even think of the word now. The theory, the man
Oh
something.
yes. Oh
I can't. I
yeah,
can't think
it's
of the word.
kind of there, it's on the tip of
Yeah,
my
but
tongue.
yeah, that theory and puts it all into context. The speeches and things that have been made at the World Economic Forum and
Oh, and
their
for hundreds
focus.
of years, it's
Yeah,
this is not a new thing. But yeah, some people have been saying, that'll just immediately, the normies will shut down and they won't listen. And we were chatting earlier and just saying, at what point do
yeah,
we stop pussyfooting around? Look how far down the road we are.
yeah.
And to stop worrying about appealing to, like, how can we make this palatable so more people will wake up? It doesn't work like that.
And I, as I said, I think we are kind of running out of time. I mean, I have been one of these people who is kind of pussyfooted around it to some extent, and tried to kind of break people into what's going in very slowly, and quite gently. But we're so far down the road now that I think we are kind of running out of time to do this kind of kind and gentle. And I think we're all aware that there is going to come a point not very far away when you can't hide from it anymore.
Yeah,
There is no kind of switching off for it and pretending that
no.
it's not about
Whether
depopulation.
whether you want to believe it or not, the facts are there. And of course there'll be differing opinions and views as to how much of this is true and how much there's always that kind of, and who's behind these films, and aren't they a bit dodgy? I think just look at the information, look at those people that are giving it, and forget all the other stuff, that about whether someone's controlled or whatever it is. I think there's no getting away from it. This is it is it's whether this will get left up if we're talking about depopulation and
Oh yeah,
genocide
we've
and
avoided the
cold. I
title
don't
and
know. Plowed straight on in. Um, but that's they're just the bald facts, and whether people want to accept that or not, we are at that stage, like you say, where you're going to get hit in the face by it, whether you want to believe it or not. There will be a point, like you say, where there is nowhere else to turn. You will be absolutely confronted. And I was saying this a long time ago, that we will all of us will be tested, all of us will be confronted, and all of us will have to, whether it's now, a little bit further down the line, or right when things really are smacking you in the face, everyone's going to have to
Face up to
it and deal with it, do the work that we need to do to transcend the fear and the sense of being helpless and a victim. It's better to be armed with the truth, because there are some really shocking figures in there, facts and figures.
The figures were mind-blowing. And I know from other people that I've talked about, there were certain figures about I don't even know if I want to say it out loud, because it's one of those things that, but babies in the womb and having heart attacks,
do you know
and
what,
the figures surrounding that, I
that's
think
the
for a
one
lot of
point,
it,
where I was like you. Look, after 3 years of this shit, and also having known before what they're capable of and what they're doing, there is like a level of detachment, just so you can kind of function and
not
keep going. But
yeah,
that,
and not completely lose your mind and just
and
descend into just
be
utter
immobilized.
hopelessness.
Just be completely paralyzed. But that was the one moment when I actually feel quite upset talking about it now. The
Yeah,
idea of,
yeah.
Little ones that haven't even, I'm actually struggling with
Yeah,
it.
I know. Because they're, the adults, they're making their choice, and we can argue to the cows come home about informed choice and how much, personal responsibility everyone can take, and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, these are grown-ups making a decision for themselves, albeit highly coerced and highly manipulated in most cases. But the children and babies, they don't have a choice.
And the numbers, I was saying to you earlier, I was really shocked. I mean, I'd seen figures around the number of stillbirths and miscarriages, but the figures were shocking. I mean, just I don't have them to hand. I didn't write them down, but they're just like hundreds of percentages higher than like the yearly average, or however it is they're measuring it. And there is no escaping the depopulation angle.
No, there isn't.
There just isn't. When you look at all of this, there just is no getting away from it. And I think this is the time that we need to be like, we don't want to be seen as conspiracy. The time has gone.
Yeah, I
This
agree.
is it. We need the clarion call. Like we're in the midst of a global, or whatever you want to call it, worldwide, whatever this is, that we're on or in, or not getting into that.
Oh yeah, no, don't go down that road.
No, but whenever you say global, you get,
Oh, I know.
I'm,
Yeah.
just whatever. It's a cull. It is a cut, and it's being done in so many different ways. So we're also seeing, aside from this actual attack that's taking people out in great ways, hence the name of the documentary, hence the hashtag, we're also seeing there's been the social conditioning, the manipulation of putting people off of having families, and also making it impossible for some people who would like children, because in the current economic conditions, just the very cost of it, the climate bullshit, that it's having more than one or maybe two children is somehow damaging the earth. We've also we're bombarded with synthetic hormones. I think they're in food, they're in the water.
Shower
It's
gels,
all
cosmetics, everything we're putting
they've
on our
been
body.
coming, and then at the same time, the world population's hit, was it 8 billion or 9 billion? I don't even know where we're at now. I think it's all bollocks anyway, to be honest. But this alarm call, so they can keep pushing the whole climate agenda. And yet the figures are very clearly showing plummeting
Decline.
birth rates are just absolutely through the floor. And it does seem to be mostly Western countries where this has been very encouraged as a lifestyle as well. So it's from all angles, and to try and deny, and the one thing that it's usually followed up by, they wouldn't do that, they couldn't do that. And that's
It is a
when,
massive thing to get your head around, and I think even the most sort of hardened of us that have really kind of taken on board the reality of what we're living through, there is still this kind of it's almost impossible to really kind of grasp that there are people that are really doing this, that are really that heartless and that evil and that calculating, that they are doing all of this. And I, that's because we're good people, we're kind people, we love people, and we care. And so to get our head around the fact that there are people out there that just really don't and are the absolute opposite of who we are is a really difficult thing to
yeah,
kind of really kind of grasp.
it's a
And
blind spot, isn't it?
I do still find myself going, no, it can't be
But this
possible.
is,
I mean, it is, I know
for
it is, but
us,
it
it's, and this is the thing, it's like, yeah, you wouldn't do that, you couldn't do that, but don't make the mistake of thinking that others wouldn't. And also, these are truly evil entities and forces at work here. This is not us. This is even the worst of us, who might have been really screwed up and done terrible things. This is a whole other level. And I think that's something, probably the main thing in all of this. This is how this whole scam has been able to be perpetrated, is because people cannot believe it's so huge,
yeah.
so vast, and it's so evil that people just can't go there. Because, do you know what, forget trying to compute and process it. We don't have that level of evil in us, that absolute void of all that is good, and ethical and moral, that there's no trying to work it out. And I think that's the mistake. It's just, you know what, you just have to actually accept, my God, it is real, this does exist, and actually it's been going on for thousands of years. We only have to look back and see what, even in our own lifetimes, we were talking about this, so look at the wars and the terrible atrocities. I lived in Cambodia, and within my lifetime, half the population or more have been absolutely decimated. I lived down the road from the killing camps. You could see skulls piled up. I've walked through the killing fields, and there's bone and fragments of clothes under my feet, where people have, things that you wouldn't believe. Rwanda, look at that genocide. That it goes on and on and
It
on, and we
does.
cannot
And I think that
normalize this and think
no,
it's, oh well, humans are bad and this is what they do to, no. And this isn't being all misty eyed about humanity, it's not that, but there is a very powerful force of evil that gives rise to these things. And there are the people at the top, whatever you want to call them, I use the term people loosely, that are
yeah,
orchestrating this whole thing. And the only way all of this gets to play out down here, with them putting the strings, is that we're living in this soup, this toxic soup of fear and victimhood, which allows, it's the environment which allows these things to happen, it's like a breeding ground. And when we rise up out of that state, that's when those things can't can't play it. So that's why this constant need to keep us down and keep us depressed, in fear, in poverty, in lack, in servitude. And it's important when we watch something like this documentary, it can really, and that's normal, like we have our
Yeah.
moment of, my God, you know, but then what, we don't want to keep feeding this whole sick system by just, well, that's it, we're done, we're defeated, there's nothing we can do, let
I
it
think
spur
I
you
found a
on.
lot of well, I found myself kind of trying to focus on is actually, you know, the bravery and the care of the people that are whistleblowing, and the
Yeah,
fact that there are millions of people all over the world who are speaking up, standing up, and raising awareness, trying to make a difference, looking into this kind of stuff and seeing, you know, how we can make a difference here. And I think it is, it shows the power of the human spirit, that these people, you are they and they are risking everything, because we know
yeah,
the lengths that will be gone to shut people up. You know, we've seen it, we know what happens. And so, you know, for these people who are going on record, they are taking a risk. And I think seeing their spirit and their bravery, I find very inspiring and very
mm,
comforting. um and you know, obviously that we are surrounded by people, we've made those connections, and there are so many people now who are, you know, doing their best to do their bit. And for me, I think, you know, as long as people are still standing up and speaking out, there is hope.
always, always. We could be down to the last one. Was it Gandhi who said, oh, what was it now? Sound hopeless. I've always got all these quotes and things in my mind. Can I get them out? Never.
Yeah, my brain just goes to mush when we're like,
Yeah. I think it's something to do with, you know, even if the entire world is is wrong, kind of thing, one person who knows the truth or stands for truth, it's this is, I'm really beyond paraphrasing this, but you know, the truth still remains, it makes no difference, the truth is the truth, and there will always be those of us who know, and that means that, yeah, there's always hope, more than hope, because
and I
there's,
think now we're in a situation where there are more of us than there ever have been before. You know, this
yeah,
last 2 years has really made a difference in terms of who can see. um and yeah, that, well, the Great Awakening. And I, you know, I take heart from the fact that, and there are still people every day kind of sitting there and going, hang on a minute, and realizing what's going on. And I think that is, that is, it gives me a lot of hope to know that there are so many people, more people than ever before, not only awake to it, but really actually spending a lot of their lives, you know, fighting back, and you know, doing something to make a difference. And the amount of love and care that I see coming from people, it gives me a lot of heart, and it really helps to balance that, oh my God, there is this like just evil in the world. But actually, you know,
mm,
seeing the people around me, and the people online, and you know, the people that are speaking out, it gives that really important balance of, yes, there is all this dark, there is all this evil, but actually look how much good and strength and beauty
yeah,
and love and light there is. And as long as, you know, that's there, I think, you know, we've still got to fight.
it's, yeah, it's more, we're more than equally matched against it. And also you have to remember that the power of love is so much stronger than fear. And once something, it sort of catches flame, once people wake up to that, there's no putting it down, and it spreads in a way that the fear can't, because once you're in that place, the fear, it's just like water off a duck's back. it just because you're it's not all about you and your little life and how there's something far, far bigger, and we start to feel that more and more. The more people are pushed, the more it does bring people together. Maybe not at first, it won't look like that, because there is that initial it's all about me, me, me. And I include myself in that in the
We've all
past. You
been.
know, we're all when you're under the cosh, and you know, you've maybe got no money and you're worried about your future, and all of these things, but then something so much bigger like this wakes you up out of that, and you realize it's not just for yourself that you're fighting, that it's this inherent knowing, isn't it, what's good and what's evil. And and once you start that's the fuel for you. You're not running on empty, because it's not your energy in that sense. It's not the little personality, and then it's a strain and a struggle. We all know what it's like. You think, oh my god, the idea of having to do all these things. When you're connected to that much vaster, higher consciousness, then you're being fed. It's coming through you. It's not you having to do all these things. You're like a conduit. And that's just the nature of the ego, isn't it? When you're only focused, when that's running the show, it's a disaster, really, on a large scale. But when you step out of that, then and you just feel that connection to everybody, don't you? And that's what we're doing this for. We're not having it. We're not bloody having it. Not a chance. I will go down fighting in whichever way I have to, because I've said it time and time again. We're here in, you know, whichever body we're in for this particular outing for a very limited amount of time. It's gonna go. So what are you gonna do with the time that you're here? Are you gonna spend the whole time worrying about dying? Because that's what's at the root of all of this. Do you know that? And that's why they keep this, it's so hidden, the real reality of things. And they keep us focused on this terror of, oh my god, this is it, and I have to do everything it takes to survive. And it's totally la when you look at the facts that, look, in 60 years I'm not going to be here. I very much doubt it. I would be very well like long lived if I was. So I know that there's an end point. So what am I going to do in the time that I'm here? I'm not going to stand by and
And
watch
watch
this,
humanity go to shit.
because it's not about me. It's like we said before about those who plant the trees for others to enjoy the shade of. It's not about us.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's something way beyond that. And I do think as things progress, we're going to see the rising up as things get harder and harder. And I hate to say it, but it's going to happen. I think that's when you will see the real rising up. And it seems to be, for some reason, it's the only time that people do really rise up, is when it's right there, and it's like, oh, this is bigger than me having my little house with my, and I'm not dissing any, look, we all need our you know, comfort. It's not even comfort, it's just a basic human right. But you know, there are bigger things. And it's, oh my god, it's crazy times, isn't it?
It is utterly insane. There's yeah, there really is. But I think it does come down to the idea of, what do you want to spend your life doing? Do you want to sit down, shut up, and, you know, watch it all be ushered in, or do you want to potentially go down fighting and try and make a little difference in, you know, your little corner of the world? I've posted a bit recently about, you know, about making a difference, and that we all can. Every day we affect the world around us with what we
Yeah,
do, with the interactions we have, um, and that we're all connected to each other and to the world around us. And we will always, whatever we do throughout our day, we are making an impact on the world around us, and we get to decide what that impact is going to be. And for me, I made a decision quite a while ago that actually, my impact was going to be to try and embody light and bring hope and speak out and raise awareness and try and make a difference and do whatever it is that I can do to try and safeguard a more positive future for my children than the one that they've got planned.
yeah. And it's different for
That's the bottom
everyone.
line.
It's not that everybody needs to do this, and this, and that it doesn't work like that. And it's not everybody has got their role. Everybody plays their part in this, whether they're like aware of it or not. So those things that you're sort of drawn to, that's the way to go. Don't be comparing, oh, but look,
No.
they're up there speaking out and getting this sort of public profile and blah blah. That's no more important than someone who you might never hear a peep, you might not have a clue, but my God, they will not comply with anything, they won't give an inch, and that makes a huge impact. That's what they don't want. They don't care about people just blah blah blah, and we should do blah. But the people that are actually doing it, they're the ones. They're the real warriors in that sense. And
And
so
there are
everyone,
so many of them.
there
So
are.
many of them.
It's just that, not everybody's shouting from the rooftops, but there
Or
is.
sharing on social media,
No,
or there are people beavering away in their hometowns,
they
every
are,
day.
and really making
um
a difference. And it again, it's the energy. So when, like, having watched the film, pretty stark figures around who's taken the, worldwide. If those are, I guess they're the official figures. So who knows? And you can start thinking in terms of, well, that's it then. Because if half the population goes, or then it's game over. No, it's not. This is all about the consciousness. They want control of consciousness. So anybody who moves beyond that fear, that victimhood, that believing that they're just this little body, and my God, it's got to be protected at any and all costs. Once you get out of that and you're vibrate, it's a vibrational universe. It's not woo woo to talk about it. It's all
no, I
frequency and
totally agree.
energy. And when you're moving out of that low, the energy where it's you're craving leadership and you look to others for authority, you actually believe that others have this authority and right over your being, and it's embodied, and that's what they pick up on. You move out of that, and they ain't got you anymore, and you will live a completely different life, and so will anybody else. It's not, of course, the numbers, they are important in a sense, but they're not crucial to look. If, like I said, if there was one person left standing in their power, that can change everything. Everything. So don't lose heart when we, sometimes I do, like, some people just said, oh, well, why, these films are now getting mainstream coverage, and it's a bit suspicious. And but I think at times, yeah, they I mean, they will be censored, absolutely, and it will be, called out for being misinformation, things like that.
Oh yes,
But
I've
they,
already had little Facebook fact
yeah,
check
oh, absolutely. I
when
mean,
I've shared it. It's shared false
yeah,
information.
of course, but also it's it's a benefit for them if people do see that and just lose hope.
Yeah. And
That
it is to anyone who is wondering about watching it, it is, I think you have to quite consciously watch it, and you do need to protect your kind of own energy, because
you do.
looking at some of this stuff, it is very easy to just sit there and go, well, that's it then. we're
Yeah.
fucked. Like, and it is, and it does, you know, it does kind of leave you with that
Well,
bugger.
we were saying though, like it's time. It might be very, very unpalatable, and unpleasant to it, but it's time to get the big boy pants on, the big girl knickers on, and
Girl
face
pants.
this head on and go,
Yeah, we do
right,
need to face it,
okay, here
and
we
I
are.
personally, I think sooner rather than later,
Yeah,
because you know, the longer this goes on, the more unavoidable it's going to become, and
it's just
um,
going to be a
you know,
harder
as
fight.
more and more people start to realize what's going on, obviously there's going to be a lot more kind of chaos and confusion and despair and fear. And so I think if we can ground ourselves
Yeah.
in a place, you know, of, you know, a higher consciousness and of, you know, a kind of deep rooted strength and belief and hope, you know, we can then kind of be there to hopefully help settle some of those people um in a kind of staunch, unwavering, it's going to be okay. Because
Yeah.
I do, regardless of all of it, there's kind of something inside me that I do wholeheartedly believe that somewhere along the line here, we win.
Oh, absolutely. It's never in doubt. It's woven into the very fabric of our existence. It's every story and legend that's ever been told.
I don't know
It's
how, I don't know when, I don't know. Yeah, I
it
don't know,
will.
but
Whether we get to actually see the
yeah,
ultimate victory in our lifetimes,
yeah, I don't know,
who
but
knows? But
what we're
it's
doing is
catch up. It's
contributing to it.
happened. It's done. And when you keep that in your focus, it is it's just a knowing, isn't it? That just is. That's just a given. But it doesn't negate the fact that unfortunately we seem to have to go through all of this to get there. It seems to be the learning process, the way that we, yeah, through adversity, kind of learn who we are once again. Um, but yeah, we can just look after each other as we go through this. Like we walk through the flames when you are confronted, when you have those moments of the enormity. And I think that's what that film in particular kind of lays bare is
Yeah,
is just how huge this is. Um and yeah, it can be, even for us who've been like up to our necks in this for it feels like forever now. It's quite sobering, but yeah, this is the opportunity, okay, to get yourself staunch. Get you, don't wait until it's like much further down the line, um, and things are even shakier. It will be us who kind of hold, who anchor that
wholesome.
strength, yeah, and then we can provide that for others. So interesting viewing indeed.
Yeah,
Um,
it is
I
a
would
very
recommend
well
watching it
made.
and
Yeah,
spread the word.
yeah. If you we I don't think we're going to put the link in any of the descriptions. So
Don't think we
I would suggest,
can
it's on
without,
Rumble and I think it's on Odyssey as well. If
yeah,
you just search for the title, you should be able to find it.
yeah,
But yeah, just look after yourself, keep hope,
always,
keep belief, keep faith, keep love. Like
yeah,
it's gonna be all right.
yeah.
Well,
Lots of love to you. I'll speak to you very
have a
soon.
lovely week, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.